On, we live. We live. If you leave a super chat and I don't acknowledge it, that's because I'm staying within my notes, and I appreciate you giving, and I'll catch you back on the rebound. Today is Monday, May the 19th, 2025. I'm down here, Lower Manhattan at the Federal Building. We're still covering the Puffy trial. Now, today on the stand was Dawn Richard. This is one of the girls that I guess was a part of the group, Diddy Vanity, and a part of the other girl, Dirty Money with Diddy. Now, before they brought the jury in, the prosecution and the defense attorneys were going back and forth about hearsay. Now, Dawn testified on Friday that she saw Puffy hit Cassie with a frying pan with some eggs. She saw all of this stuff. So she got back on the stand again today, right? Now, what was interesting was that Puffy's attorneys got up, more specifically Mark Agnifilo, who's the lead attorney for Puff. He got up and said, like, what does this have to do, these assaults that Puffy allegedly did to Cassie, or maybe he did to Cassie, what does this have to do with racketeering, right? And his words was, I think what the prosecution is trying to do is just highlight all of these bad acts. Keep saying all of these bad acts, and to make the jury prejudicial against Puff for things that have nothing to do about racketeering. Now, what I'm gonna say, what Dawn Richard testified to on the stand under the direct examination, she is a government witness, right? Dawn Richard, black girl from the group Diddy Dirty Money, is a witness for the prosecution. She's supposed to be helping the prosecution, right? This she ends up getting destroyed on the stand. Dawn Richard ends up getting destroyed on the stand. She gets busted in 13 lies. And we're gonna go through each and all of them. I got my notes, and we're gonna go through all of this. Let's get to it, okay? And this is another point. Mark Agnifilo, which is Puffy's lead attorney, as I just told you, he's saying, like, all the government is doing is just trying to say Puffy did this. He assaulted Cassie. He tried to hit her with some eggs. He stole a pack of gum. He ran a red light. He ordered a sandwich and didn't pay. All they're trying to do is highlight all of these bad things, and none of these things are relevant to racketeering. And assault is not a part of racketeering conspiracy. Now, I'm in the sidewalk. Okay, police telling me to move, y'all. Thank you. Hold on, y'all. So, Miss Richard gets on the stand. The government takes off. And Dawn Richard alleges that Puffy threatened her, gave her death threats, threatened her life, that if she mentioned anything about what she saw in terms of Puffy's assault of Cassie, that people go dark, you know, implying that Puffy meant that people lose their life, right? Let's get into it. Threats alleged by Miss Richard. She assaulted Cassie. Puffy assaulted Cassie in front of her, and Puffy told her, "Don't tell anyone what you saw. I will make you go missing." This is what Dawn Richard said that Puffy told her. Hold on, y'all. Robin Kane, what's up? I see you, Robin. Thanks for subscribing. Don't. Puffy told, Richard gets on the stand and says that Puffy told her, "Don't tell anything what you saw about me assaulting Cassie, because I'll make you go missing." People go dark. Miss Richard testified on the stand that she's known Puffy from 2004 to 2011, and that the assaults predated Dirty Money, and they were from 2004 to 2009. Miss Richard says that she goes to Harv Pierre, who is the CEO of Bad Boy, and tells him about these perceived threats and what's going on with her and Cassie. And he tells her, "Where are you going to go?" Right? And this also was perceived as a threat. That was the way she took it. Miss Richard testifies on the stand that she saw Puffy pick up a skillet of eggs and hit Cassie with the skillet of eggs, right? She then tells everybody, "Oh, I thought I could go missing. I feared for my life." Puffy was frequently violent with Cassie. I saw Puffy punch, choke, slap, and drag Cassie. She also mentioned Harv Pierre, Capricorn Clark, D-Rock, Mia, and Bonds all saw this assaults. She said the first time that she saw the assaults was between 2009 and 2011. Okay? They showed a picture of D-Rock, showed a picture of Bonds, who are security guards for Puff. The government asked her, "What did security do? What did Bonds do? What did D-Rock do?" She says they did nothing. She says the injuries that she saw to Cassie was to her face, her lips, her arms, and her knees. Okay? She said another time that she saw Puffy punch Cassie in the face with a closed fist. This was in New York. And Cassie had a swollen eye. Cassie wore sunglasses. Then the government showed a picture of Cassie, Dawn Richard, and the other girl from Dirty Money. All three of them was at this festival, and they all wearing sunglasses. The government asked her, "Why are all three of y'all wearing sunglasses?" She said, "We wanted to show support for Cassie because she had a swollen eye. She needed to wear glasses, so we gonna wear glasses to support Cassie." The next time she says she saw Puffy assault Cassie was in West Hollywood. She saw Puffy punch Cassie in the stomach. Harv Pierre was there, Capricorn Clark, Mia, D-Rock, Bonds, they were all there. This is Richard on the stand. This is the black girl from Dirty Money with Diddy. She's testifying to this under oath on the stand for the whole world to see. They show a picture of Harv Pierre Hart Pierre was the CEO of Bad Boy. He reported to Puff. The government asked Dawn Richard, did anybody ever intervene in any of these assaults? She said no. She came up with another time that they were in a BMW Sprinter van. Okay? Puffy and Cassie were arguing. She was in the Sprinter van. The other girl from Dirty Money was in the Sprinter van. Puffy was in the Sprinter van. Cassie was in the Sprinter van. And some of his assistants were in the Sprinter van. Cassie and Puffy started arguing in the Sprinter van. Puffy grabbed Cassie by her neck, slapped her in the mouth, and told her to shut the fuck up. This is what they said in the court. Dawn Richard then said that security did nothing.
Don't want to go any further?
The government asked Dawn Richard, did she speak to Cassie about her career and her relationship with Bad Boy? She said yes. She said that Cassie used to tell her that Cassie wanted more career opportunities. She had higher goals, right? And that Puffy would tell her, wait your turn, it's in my time frame, I own you, you understand? And if Puff didn't like whatever she was doing, he wouldn't put out her music or nothing. Dawn Richard told Cassie, you should leave Puffy. You should leave Bad Boy. And she said that Cassie looked torn and afraid to leave. Then she says, Dawn Richard, the girl from Dirty Money, said that Puffy stepped to her and threatened her and told her, this is what the prosecution said, stay the fuck out of my relationship. You motherfuckers don't know real work. This is what Puffy told Dawn Richard. This is what she said on the stand. Then she said that Hart Pierre, the CEO of Bad Boy, and Puffy told her, Dawn Richard, it gets dark and lonely if you don't mind your business. Stop interfering in my relationship with Cassie. Then the government went on and said this. Have you ever saw Puff using drugs? Dawn Richard said, yes. I saw him using Molly, ecstasy, weed, cocaine, ketamine. Where did you see him using these drugs at? At the studio and at the house. Have you ever saw Puffy taking opiates? She said no. The government asked her, where did Puffy get these drugs? She named the dude called One Stop. One Stop was the drug dealer for Puff. He sold birth control pills, cocaine, opiates, Molly's, everything. Dawn Richard testified that Puffy kept all of his drugs in a Louis Vuitton pouch, was where he stored his drugs. My man, you filming me? Sure? Because you got the camera pointed up right at me. If you want to, all you got to do is ask. All right. That Puffy kept all of his drugs in a Louis Vuitton pouch, right? For storage. And either Puff or one of his assistants would carry this Louis Vuitton pouch. What's up with you, bro? You good?
Peace.
All right. You more than welcome, man. You more than welcome. I ain't got no problem.
Nah, I'm just getting B-roll of what's going on outside the
All right,
courtroom.
cool. Dawn Richard said that she smoked weed with Puff. The government asked her about guns. Dawn Richard says she saw Puffy with a handgun in the studio around 2009, 2010. Where did he keep the gun? In the small of his back. D-Rock and Bonds carry guns too. I saw Puffy with guns on him at the studio and at the club. All of them kept guns in the small of their back. Handgun. Dawn Richard left Bad Boy in 2011. This is the government questioning. You left Bad Boy in 2011. She said yes. She said Puffy would try to contact her by FaceTime. And if she wouldn't answer Puffy's FaceTime, Puffy would get his assistants to call her FaceTime to try to get her on the phone. Especially when her career started to gain momentum after she left Bad Boy. The government then asked her, why didn't you tell anybody about all these things that you saw? Dawn's words on the stand were, I was told not to tell nobody by Puffy and Harve Pierre. Then the prosecution says, in 2024, what changed? She says, I saw Cassie take a stand and tell the truth. The judge struck that from the record. The government was asking, like, why did you speak out in 2024? Why did you, Dawn Richard, file a civil lawsuit against Puff in 2024? Her words was, I saw Cassie take a stand and tell the truth. The judge struck that part from the record. That specific line. Cassie filed her civil lawsuit. Dawn Richard filed her civil lawsuit at the same time, shortly thereafter. And her lawsuit is currently pending, but there are no negotiations. Now, this is the cross-examination. This is the cross-examination. This is the cross-examination. Puffy's lawyer, female lawyer, white female lawyer, bad, mean, destroys this girl on the stand. Check me out. Her name is Nicole Westmoreland. Right from the gate, Puffy's lawyer stepped to her and say, Miss Richard, don't you know that there is a motion to dismiss your civil federal lawsuit against Puff? She says, oh, I'm not aware. She says, Miss Richard, did your attorney send a demand letter to Puffy's lawyer demanding money? All of a sudden, she forget everything. Check me out. Puffy's lawyer, Nicole Westmoreland. Shout out to Nicole. Miss Richard, you've met with the feds. You've met with federal prosecutors 8 times to talk about this case. First she asked it, she says, how many times, Puffy's lawyer asked her, how many times did you meet with the government about this case? How many times did you meet with federal prosecutors? Dawn Richard said, a few times. Puffy's lawyer said, no, it ain't been a few. You met with the feds 8 times about this case. Then she gave all the dates. Let me go to the dates. Check me out. Don't go nowhere. Stay right there. Dawn Richard met with the feds, the federal prosecutors, October 31st, 2024. March 18th, 2025. April 8th, 2025. April 9th, 2025. April 17th, 2025. May the 10th, 2025, which is like 2 weeks ago, week ago. Let's get back to it. Puffy's lawyer says, Ms. Rashad, are you aware that every time you've told your story, it has changed every time? Don't understand, like, huh, what? I don't recall, I don't know. She says, well, let me refresh your memory. Friday, on May the 16th, 2025, 3 days ago on the stand, you said that Puffy attempted to hit Cassie in the head with a frying pan with eggs in it. When you spoke to federal prosecutors about this, you told them you heard a frying pan hit the wall, but you didn't see it. In your civil lawsuit, you said you saw Puff attempt to hit Cassie in the head with the frying pan. But when you met with federal prosecutors, you said you heard a frying pan hit the wall. Dawn Rashad says, I'm not aware of, what I told prosecutors. Then Puffy's lawyer says, Ms. Rashad, are you aware that attempting to hit somebody with a frying pan and actually hitting somebody with a frying pan are two different things? She says, you gave two different stories on that, okay? But you told the government that Puffy actually hit her with the frying pan on October 31st, 2024, when you met with federal prosecutors. Then you met with them again, Ms. Rashad, on March the 18th, 2025, and you told the feds that you actually saw Puff take the frying pan and throw the eggs at Cassie and put the frying pan back down. It's story number 3, different story. Puffy's lawyer asked her, when you were meeting with the federal prosecutors, were any of us there? Were any of Puffy's lawyers there? Was Puffy there? Did you fear for your life? Did you feel safe? She said, yeah. So what she was implying was you were with the government, you were at a federal building, so you wasn't being intimidated, yet you giving a different story. Then Puffy's lawyer stepped to her and say, Ms. Rashad, you know that Puffy didn't hit her with that frying pan at all, right? Rashad says, I don't recall. She said, I don't recall. So Friday on the stand, she said Puffy hit her upside the head with the frying pan. Then she met with the feds, said that she heard a frying pan hit the wall. Then the next go round, she meet with the feds 4 months later. She say Puffy threw the eggs on her and put the frying pan back down. Yo, this girl's body language on the stand, it was like somebody went poof. Yo, totally deflated. Totally deflated. She says, Puffy's lawyer says, Ms. Rashad, you've given 4 different stories about one incident. You gave a story in here, you gave a story this morning, and then when you met with the feds twice, you gave 4 different stories. And then she says, Dawn Rashad says, well, that's according to my recollection. Puffy's lawyer said, well, according to your recollection, you have 4 different recollections. You had 4 different recollections about the frying pan, right? Let's keep going. Check me out. Now, on the stand Friday, Miss Rashad, you said that at the studio, Puffy told you, you better not say anything because people go missing where I'm from when they don't mind their business. You met with the feds. You met with federal prosecutors. Was I there? Was Puffy there? Did you feel threatened? Ms. Rashad says no. On October 31st, 2024, when you met with the feds, the federal prosecutors, you told them nobody was hurt, right? You didn't tell the same story to prosecutors. You never told prosecutors that Puffy told you that people go missing where he from. People go dark. Why didn't you tell the prosecutors that? Dawn Rashad. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Who you with?
New York Post.
Dawn Rashad says, that's not my recollection, right? So here we go again. Another story. You saying this on the stand Friday. You saying this on the stand this morning. But then when you met with the feds, right, you don't tell the same story. And then when we confront you about it under cross-examination, you say, not my recollection. That's 5 lies right there. That's 5, y'all. 4 different stories for the eggs joint. Then another lie about Puffy saying, right, people go missing where I'm from. Puffy's lawyer again, Nicole Westmoreland. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Puffy's lawyer. She asked her again, March 18, 2025. Ms. Rashad, you met with federal prosecutors again on March 18, 2025. Everybody share this video. Share this video. I need 1,000 people in here. Hit that like button. Everybody hit that like button. Dawn Rashad, on March 18, 2025, you met with federal prosecutors again. I'm gonna show you a document to help refresh your memory about that meeting. This is what Puffy's lawyer said. Listen, I'm gonna show you this document to help refresh your memory about this meeting. You told everybody Friday, you told everybody today that you could die, that you felt Puffy gave you death threats. Do you feel safe here? Do you feel safe when you with the feds? Was Puffy in the room with you when you was with the feds? Were any of us attorneys in the room with you when you was fed? This is what the lawyer doing to her, killing her. She says, no, none of y'all was there. She says, why didn't you tell the prosecutors when you met with the federal prosecutors that Puffy told you you could die? Dawn Rashad says, I don't know what they wrote in their notes. Lie number 6. Lie number 6. Lie number 6. Dawn Rashad, you met with federal prosecutors again on April 17th, 2025. Did you meet with them again? Yes, I did. Then Puffy's lawyer, check out how Puffy's lawyer was handling her, man. Man, just treating her like a little girl, man. Treating her like a little girl, right? Puffy's lawyer said, at these violent incidents, you testified about these violent incidents, right? Celebrities were there, right? She said, yeah. She said, name some of the celebrities that were there. She says, oh, I don't recall. Puffy's lawyer say, let me give you this document to help refresh your memory, right? So we give her the document, and then look, every time Puffy's lawyer would give her a document to read, she would say, read that. And please look up at me when you done reading. Said that to her every time. Said that to her every time. Said, look, read this document and please look up at me when you done reading. you lying motherfucker, you. That's what she was saying to her. So listen, who were some of the celebrities that was there when you saw Puffy assault Cassie? She said Usher, Jimmy Iovine, and Neo. She said, you said that here, but why you didn't tell the federal prosecutors that? Why are you saying things here on the stand, but when you met with the prosecutors, you didn't say that? That's lie number 7, ain't it? Is that number 7? Miss Rashad, you testified that you saw Puffy pull Cassie out of the car and drag her by her head on the grass in front of everybody. She said, Rashad says, I don't recall. Puffy's lawyer said, read this document. Let me refresh your memory. Please look up at me when you done reading. Yo, that shit was, the courtroom was going crazy, man. So she says, Miss Rashad, here we go again. This is lie number 8. You coming on the stand, you saying this. You met with federal prosecutors, but you didn't tell them that. Did you feel safe when you was met with federal prosecutors? Was Puffy there? Were we there? Miss Rashad looked up and said, I guess that was a misquote. I guess that was a misquote. She said, 2 weeks ago, May 2025, you met with federal prosecutors. You met with federal prosecutors, and in your civil lawsuit, you said this, but when you met with the prosecutors, you don't bring it up. Here's another one. Miss Rashad, they was at some concert, some festival. Dawn Rashad said Puffy punched Cassie in the back of the head on the stand. She was at a festival. Puffy's lawyer said, this is what you testified to, right? She said, yeah. Puffy's lawyer says, don't you know that at that festival where you allege that you saw Puffy punch Cassie in the back of the head, a camera crew was following y'all around the whole day? A camera crew was filming you and Dirty Money and Cassie and Puffy and everybody for the whole day. And there's no footage showing that he punched Cassie in the back of the head. Another lie, right? And see, my thing was this, right? Check this out. We're gonna keep going. When I heard us saying this, when I heard Dawn Rashad saying this on the stand, her story was night and day, vastly different from what Cassie said. And I said to myself, why didn't Cassie testify to any of this? This would have been more damaging coming from Cassie than from this girl. That jumped right out at me. Check me out. Puffy's lawyer, Nicole Westmoreland. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Nicole. She says, Miss Rashad, you know Sean Combs is a celebrity, right? Yeah. He probably was one of the biggest celebrities in the 2000s, right? 2000. She says, yeah. She says, you know it's common for celebrities. What's up, man? You know it's common for celebrities to have bodyguards, right? She said, yeah. She says, tell us about when you saw Puffy with a gun. Puffy's lawyer said, tell us about when you saw Puffy with a gun. She said, my man, you can't just come filming me, but you gotta ask me, man.
I like this guy.
Don't do that, man.
Yo, relax.
Yo, don't do that. Yo,
it's public, bro.
I don't give a fuck what it is.
So what
It's
up?
public.
If
I don't say you could do it, you can't do it.
I do what the fuck I want.
Okay.
I actually want your permission.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
What is your name?
Sean G, the podcast was sold.
What's your channel?
SEANG. The podcast with Soul.
Sean
The
G.
podcast.
All right. Sean G. The podcast
On
with
YouTube.
Soul. All right. Sean G. The podcast with Soul.
So she says, I saw Puffy at Daddy's house and his house with a gun. I saw him at Daddy's house and his house with a gun. Puffy's lawyer. She said, Miss Rashad, you met with the prosecutors 8 times and never once did you mention to the federal prosecutors you saw Puffy with a gun. So why is you getting on the stand today saying you saw Puffy with a gun? Do you need me to show you a document? Here, read this document and look up at me when you finish. You never told the prosecutors you saw Puffy with a gun. What is that, line number 9, 10, whichever that is? Then Puffy's lawyer said, yo, let's move on to the drugs. She said, did you ever smoke weed with Puff? Dawn Rashad said, yeah. She said, did you ever use any other drugs with Puff? She said, no, I pretended to. I pretended to use other drugs with Puff, but I just smoked weed with him. The lawyer says, Nicole said something slick like, oh, so it was just a big farce, you getting high with Puff. It was probably for the blow, right? They was probably getting skied, you understand? So the lawyer's like, oh, so you just pretended to get high, right? She says, is that your testimony? She said, yeah. She says, let me give you this document to read and look up at me when you finish reading. Every time she would look up, she was hurt. Dawn Rashad was wounded. She was wounded in her soul because she had just got busted like 8, 9 lives. She says, Miss Rashad, you met with federal prosecutors 8 times and never once in your meeting with them. My man, what you doing, man? Don't do that, man. What's wrong with you, man? Ask me, man. Don't do that. You met with federal prosecutors 8 times and you never told them that you saw Puffy use cocaine. Why are you getting on the stand saying it? What is that, line number 10? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's get to the drug dealer, one stop. Miss Rashad, have you seen One Stop sell drugs to Puffy? Yes, I have seen One Stop sell drugs and Puffy or his assistant give One Stop money. Nicole Westmoreland, Puffy's lawyer. Let me give you this document to read and look up at me when you finish reading it. You met with Puffy, you met with federal prosecutors 8 times and you never told the government you saw Puffy give One Stop money. Your testimony has changed again, Ms. Rashad. When we at line number 11, line number 10. Check this out. Listen how crazy this get. Yo, everybody, get a video a thumbs up. Get a video a thumbs up. Let's get this on 1,000 people. Yo, check this out. Check this out. It gets crazy. Nicole Westmoreland, Puffy's lawyer. Dawn Rashad right there. Ms. Rashad, earlier this morning, you testified that you received death threats from Puff. You were fearful for your life.
Yes, yeah.
That people go missing. He threatened you. Harv Pierre threatened you. Everybody threatened your life. Ms. Rashad, you left Bad Boy in 2011, right? Yes. Ms. Rashad, you testified earlier that Puffy was reaching out to you after you left Bad Boy. Yes? Ms. Rashad, I have a text message here that you actually reached out to Puffy several times to get back with the group to start back working with Puff. You wanted to put the what's the name of the group? Dirty Money back together. You wanted him to sign you as a solo artist. You FaceTime him. You calling his assistant. So, Miss Rashad, him reaching out to you is vastly different than you reaching out to him. Oh, that's not my recollection. And she said, you initiated the contact with Puff. Puffy didn't want to sign you to no solo artist deal. Puffy did not want to put Dirty Money back together. But you asked to come back. Why do you ask him to come back to work with a man that's giving you death threats? This is Puffy's lawyer on the stand, Nicole Westmoreland. Why are you asking to come back and work with a man that threatened you, that threatened your life, that said you could go missing, that you could go dark? Wow! Busted again. What is that, line number 11? Miss Rashad, since you left Bad Boy, you released over 100 songs. None of those songs gave you the success that you had when you was with Puff. Is this why you asked Puff? You was calling Puff to tell Puff to put the thing back together? Then she said, Miss Rashad, you hired lawyers, right? She said, yeah. She said, you filed a civil suit, right? She said, yeah. She says, why did you do that? Dawn Rashad, out of her mouth, word is born on the stand, said, I want justice. Man, Puffy's lawyer said, listen, a civil suit, you get money from a civil suit. She asked us, do you get justice from a civil suit or do you get money from a civil suit? Dawn Rashad said, you get money, compensation, right? She said, yeah. Puffy's lawyer said, I rest my case. No more questions. I ain't got no more questions. Killed that girl. Then the government come back out. The federal prosecutors come back out and they redirect. And it's weak though. By this time, Dawn Rashad is like this. By this time, Dawn Rashad is like this. Yo, her body language. Listen, her head was tilted to the side. Her shoulders were slumped. She was wounded. And all she wanted to do was get off the stand, man. That's all she wanted to do. She was dumb. Puffy's lawyer annihilated her and turned her into a defense witness. She benefited Puff them more than she benefited the government.
Yo, bro,
So
man, I
hold
gotta shake your hand.
on 1 second. I'm
ahead,
almost
bro.
through.
Go ahead, bro.
So the government comes out, they do a redirect, they try to rehash all of that shit they said earlier, but it don't look good. You understand? They asked her, why did you want to go back and work with Puff after you left? Dawn Rashad said, I wanted to help my bandmate. What's the girl named Harper? She needed money, so I wanted to help her. So I wanted to put the group back together. Yo, it was so weak. She was like this. She was wounded. Puffy's lawyer came back out. Nicole Westmoreland came back out and recross examination. Dawn, you only reached out because you wanted a relationship with Lori Ann Gibson. That's what you testified, who was a judge on the show. She says, Miss Rashad, don't you know that if for you to reach back out to Puff to put the band back together, that you would have to get together as a group, go to the studio as a group, perform as a group, radio appearances as a group, TV appearances as a group, tours, travel, international travel. You would be spending a lot of time with Puffy if you put the band back together. You would really want to do that? Even though Puffy made death threats about you? Yo, killed her. Killed her. Killed her. Yo, she got up off the stand. The judge says, Miss Rashad, you free to go. She was devastated. Puffy's lawyer killed her, man. Then they brought in another witness. Cassie's best friend is on the stand now, but I'm gonna wait and do that one after I come out at 5 o'clock. Everybody be here at 5 o'clock. I'm going live again. Puffy's lawyer, Cassie was a victim. Cassie was a victim for the government, but she ended up helping Puff. Dawn Richard was supposed to be a witness for the defense. I mean, let me start over. Get it right, Sean. Get it right, Sean. Be a pro. Cassie Ventura is victim number 1 in the indictment. She is a victim and witness for the prosecution. She testified for 3 days and helped Puffy more than she helped the government. This girl, Dawn Richard, is a witness for the prosecution, but Nicole Westmoreland, Puffy's attorney, turned her into a benefit for Puff. Listen, Puffy beat that girl ass. He was beating her ass, and that ain't right. That ain't right. You're supposed to fight with dudes like that. He wrong for that. Puffy wrong for that. That's from me, right? But so far, this is just a domestic violence case, man. That's all this is, man. You understand? And the lawyers pointed that out early on. Says none of this has nothing to do with racketeering. So, to me, what's up, man?
Hey,
all right.
Sorry, some people was asking about who your name, but I ain't know what to tell them.
Yeah, Sean G.
Sean, I'm on live.
Okay, cool.
You on TikTok?
I'm on Instagram and YouTube. Podcast from Soul. Sean G. Podcast from Soul.
Got
You see it.
Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Peace. So, and the jurors are sitting there. The jurors are sitting there watching this girl lie. Like, this is all you got? Cassie, who helped Puff, this all you got? This girl gonna get up here and lie 13 times? This is all you got? To me, Puffy in the catbird seat. Listen, they already trying to get a mistrial. They already are. Listen, man, if Puffy was losing, I would tell y'all he losing. But to me, right now at this point, he winning. Sean G, podcast. So hit that like button. Y'all give that video a thumbs up. Give that video a thumbs up. Yo, Bird, what up? Podcast with Soul. Let me get back up here. I gotta go get me a cup of coffee and get ready for the second part. All right, peace.
That was good. I got all my information.
Yeah,